Okay, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and quickly show you the parts of the interface that we're going to be using heavily during this tutorial. It's important to know exactly what we're going to be working with and where it's located, or else you can't even get started. So, here we have XSI's default interface, and right now we're in the default mode, which is model mode, which you can see here is shown by this lavender purplish color. Now, this is model mode, as we can see up here. If we click up here where it says model, and you can see there's a little black arrow icon as a drop down box, left click on that and you open up a submenu. It shows you animate, render, simulate, and hair. I'm working with XSI Advanced, by the way. You can do this tutorial if you're working with XSI Advanced, XSI Essentials, or even XSI Foundation. Okay, so we're in the model menu. We need to switch over to the render menu. So the shortcut on the keyboard is 3, or you can just click on render here. Now it turns to blue, and this is the render main toolbar, or the render mode. So what do we need to concern ourselves with in terms of this part of the interface? Well, when working with shaders in XSI, it works very close hand in hand with the rendering process in XSI using the mental rate rendering engine. And the shaders in XSI and the way the materials work is very closely associated with that render engine and with the whole rendering pipeline and process. So what does all that garbled mess of words really mean in layman's terms? Basically, it means that in order to be able to see shaders rendered, you have to render out your scene or do render previews. So let me show you real quick which are the parts of this interface that we're going to be using. In the render toolbar, we're going to be using under the get menu, we're going to be using this menu item a lot, the item menu called material. We're going to be using materials from here to assign. We're also going to be pulling up more and doing all kinds of things like using this assign material button. We're also going to use different things here, like the modify menu will be modifying materials, which if you go ahead and click on that, it opens up the material manager, and more on the material manager later. Don't worry about that now. Don't overwhelm yourself with that stuff right now. We have plenty of time to go over that. Trust me. And there's a few other things here that we need to concern ourselves with as well. Under the render menu, we have this regions button, and we can see here we have a region tool, and the shortcut is Q on a keyboard. We're going to be using this render region tool, the Q button, quite a lot for the duration of this tutorial, because without rendering, we can't see what our final outcome is going to look like. So in order to be able to see the final look of our shaders and materials in XSI, we need to be able to render. So by holding down the Q key, you can draw these render regions and it'll render out a scene. Right now it just renders out black because this scene is completely empty. There's absolutely nothing in this scene. So with that said, we can also access the render menu from up here in the main menu bar. If we click on here render, which is shown with an underline of blue under the word render, you can see we have a menu, and this menu is the exact same menu that we have here on the left. So if I click on the scissors icon up here, the dashed line, I can tear off this menu, then I can click and drag it wherever I want, simply by left clicking this blue name bar area up here and dragging it wherever I want. And what this is, it's simply a convenient tear off menu that I can move around and place wherever I want. I could even double click it up here to tuck it away and double click it again to bring it back up. And it gives me access to the same exact tools and menus that I have here on the left. So it's just an exact duplicate copy of the main menu bar here on the left, only in a little bit more compact version that I can pretty much move around wherever I want and hide and show whenever I want. The other main part of the interface that we're going to be using a bit, not too much as in other processes like modeling and things, but we will use it a little bit, is the main command panel over here, or the MCP. Basically, this is used for a multitude of things in XSI. You can use it for setting up constraints, you can use it for parenting and cutting parent-child relationships, use it for freezing modeling whenever you're modeling objects, which we're not going to worry about in this tutorial. You can also use it for working with your clusters, as well as your scene organization, and pretty much a ton of other stuff. Down here, we have these tabs. Next to MCP, we have KPL and MAT. KPL is the Keying Panel and Layers Manager, which you can use to set up your layers. You also use it a lot during animation. The KPL menu is mainly used for animation. It doesn't have to be used strictly for animation, but most of the tools here aid you in animation. Then we have the MAT or material toolbar over here, and this one right now is blank because we don't have anything in our scene. However, if we did and we selected objects, we would start to see things pop up here. So we'll be talking about how to use this material toolbar over here on the right of the interface when you're working with shaders and materials inside of Softimage XSI. So those are pretty much the main parts of the interface, the main elements of the interface we're going to be using for working with materials inside of XSI. So I'm going to end this video here, and in the next one we'll just continue with the topic of shaders in XSI.